Good morning, friends. Stephen Banoon with Deborah Tavares on Israeli News Live. Today is June the 19th, 2025. We're doing these back to back right now with Deborah. And Deborah is also her website, stopthecrime.net. Also, uh, 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 gosh, Deborah, you have to help me out. I'm going blank.
Primarywater.org
Yes,
and
toxicskies.org as well. Deborah.
Toxic Skies Singular .org.
People are
Now,
not going to know what to do with us doing these mini videos here, but this is very important. Heat waves intensified, and gosh, when you began to tell me about these things here, it blew me away.
well, I think everyone needs to hear this so they can harden up in every way possible. We'll talk about some solutions because it's killing all our plant material in the afternoon when they're intensifying the heat. It's much more intense than our thermometers tell us. So people will go outside and they'll say it feels much hotter than 80 degrees. It's because it is. So let's get into this. This is very important. This is the first of its kind. And this is an article that I read in the Nation World Sunday, June the 1st of 2025. And here is the title of the article, and I think you have that pulled up, Steve.
I sure do.
Excellent. It's called Oil Companies Sue Over Heat Wave Death. Experts say it's the first wrongful death case targeting fossil fuel companies over the role in global warming. So this is incredibly important because this is how they will asset strip and push us more into the illusion that it's climate change and global warming as opposed to what we know is weather weapons being used and the massive effect of wireless frequencies, the 5G, the towers, your phones, all Wi-Fi in your home, massively heating up the environment, electromagnification in the environment. So let's talk about this quickly. They talk about this has occurred in northwest of the United States. So here we go. This is in the New York Times, written by David Gills, Gelles. And again, experts say it's the first of its kind wrongful death case targeting fossil fuel. We're going to talk about that in a minute too, because there's no such thing as fossil fuels coming from dead dinosaurs. But we'll get to that in a moment. Targeting fossil fuel companies over the role in global warming. As an unusual heat dome set temperatures in the Pacific Northwest soaring to 108 degrees Fahrenheit. This was on June the 28th of 2021. A woman pulled her car over and rolled down the windows, overwhelmed by the heat. Hours later, when emergency medical workers reached, she had died of 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 my
Hyperthermia. Hypothermia.
Thank you. My glasses are fogging up. Steve, we've had a very difficult time staying connected on this call to
Majorly.
Call, and I am just really suffering some, or I should say, experiencing some delivery opportunities here. So with that having been said, yeah, the woman had died of hypothermia or overheating, and her internal body temperature was 110 degrees Fahrenheit, according to court documents. They go on to talk about the case represents a major escalation in the growing efforts to hold fossil fuel companies accountable for climate change. Cities and states have been bringing climate lawsuits against big oil and gas producers for years now, claiming they engaged in deceptive marketing fraud and even racketeering. No, it's the reverse, because we know that climate change is the racketeering and is the asset stripping of all nations worldwide through the Paris Climate Accords. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm looking at this article. I think it's important to just leave with the idea that this is the first case ever of a wrongful death caused by fossil fuel companies. We'll see where this case goes. We'll keep you informed. But here's what's most important to understand. Because understand, the United States has already been compromised. We have been taken. Now, here's what it says, and Steve, you can pull up this American Bar Association adopted by the House of Delegates. And I'm going to read this to everybody. This is critical. This is dated August the 11th and the 12th of 2003. Resolved that the American Bar Association recognizes that good governance and the rule of law are essential to achieving sustainable development. Further resolved that the American Bar Association reaffirms its 1991 commitment to sustainable development and adopts the internationally accepted concept of sustainable development as recognized at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in 1992 and subsequent international conferences. Simultaneous achievement of environmental protection, economic development, social development, and peace for present and future generations. This is about war. This is not about peace. We are being pushed into a mind-controlled circumstance where we believe that our American Bar Association, our court system is set up on our behalf. It is criminal, and they are taking on lawsuits regarding their commitment to serve climate change or global warming. You just heard me read this. I don't know what else I can say, Steve. This is enormous for people to understand the criminality behind how this country has been organized.
Absolutely, 100%.
So then we look at this executive order, and if you can bring that up.
Got that one up already.
Okay. This is an executive order by Barack Obama. And this I got off of the White House website. And you'll see the White House information at the top of the screenshot that I sent you.
Yes.
So, executive order, climate resilience, international development, executive order. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution, there is no Constitution that gives anyone the right or the ability to lie to us about fossil fuels when petroleum is a renewable, just like water. So they base the words so that they can dial people into believing that this is based on the Constitution. It is not. So let me start over. I get infuriated when I read the lies. But by the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, and to safeguard security and economic growth, protect the sustainability and the long-term durability of the U.S. development work in vulnerable countries, and promote sound decision-making and risk management, is hereby ordered as follows, and they go on. The world must reduce greenhouse gas emissions to prevent the most dangerous consequences of climate change. Even with increased efforts to curb these emissions, we must prepare for and adopt the impacts of climate change. The adverse impacts of climate change, including sea level rise, all disinformation, all of this. Increases in temperatures, more frequent extreme precipitation and heat events, more severe drought, and increased wildfire activity. They're telling you all the things that are going to be created through the illusion of climate change caused by us, okay? along with the impact of greenhouse gas emissions such as ocean acidification, which has been caused by the electromagnetic frequencies in the atmosphere, and certainly by ships that are scanning the ocean and creating maps, the massive amount
Yeah,
of frequency.
yeah.
They threatened to roll back decades of progress in reducing poverty. No, they're creating poverty and improving economic growth in vulnerable countries, compromise the effectiveness and resilience of the U.S. developed assistance, degrade security, and risk national and international conflict over resources. They're creating all of this. This is a predetermined, pre-discussed plan in full operation. Now there's going to be litigation with the oil companies. Now, what strikes you about the information you've heard thus far, Steve?
Well, you know, it's all a hoax and the government's behind it. That's one of the biggest issues about it already. And, you know, also, as you mentioned, the ships and the mapping of the seafloor, this is what's causing the whales to beach themselves and things like that from the devices that they use to do that with. Um, you know, it's just deplorable, Deborah, to see this.
Well, I think it's also important to add because when I was a teenager, I crewed our family yacht from Amsterdam down to Gibraltar. And that morning that we sailed in through the Straits of Gibraltar, I was on ship with my father. And there were so many fish because of the convergence of the Mediterranean, the English Channel, and the Atlantic that I felt like I could walk on them. There were so many. Then years later, we took our children on somewhat of the trip I had been on the boat. And I can tell you there were far fewer fish than when I went through there as a younger girl. But now there are over 700 orca attacks on sailboats and other boats where they're biting off the rudders. And I certainly believe that they're attacking boats because of the electromagnetic frequencies and all of the wireless mapping capabilities. When we went through the Straits, and back in those days, my father mapped our course with a sextant and looking at the sun and positioning where we were on our charts. We had no depth finders. We had nothing. So I want to say what we face now is deplorable, and all species of all animals are affected. In fact, on our recent, just previous show, we talked about the depopulation of all animals, and we went over that document as well. But now I'd like to go to what Colonel Fletcher Prouty had been telling us for years. It's called The Origins of Oil. So for all of you, whenever you hear the word in any school book, in any publication, in any type of print, and you see fossil fuels, you can immediately know that this is a lie. We've been built upon lies, upon lies, upon lies. And Colonel Fletcher Prouty talked about what he heard when he met with Rockefeller and how Rockefeller schemed to create the illusion that petroleum was a finite resource. And they literally schemed to create a reality that is not real. So we build upon all these lies, and suddenly now we see oil companies being sued because we know now that the American Bar Association, adopted by the House of Representatives, I remind you, back in August of 2003, we went over that. They talk about how let it further be resolved that the American Bar Association reaffirms its 1991 commitment to sustainable development and adopts the internationally accepted concept of sustainable development as recognized at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in 1992. and subsequent international conferences, simultaneous achievement of environmental protection, economic development, social development, and peace for the present and future generations. Now, the present and future generations is in all of the sustainable development adopted rules that all of your cities, all of the counties, all of the states, all of the nations worldwide have adopted. So understand the enormity of this illusion. Again, an illusion so vast that people would fail to see it. And we're trying to present this to you in the shortest, concise method possible so that you understand the criminal court system that we are being funneled into and imprisoned through as well. It is all represented on a lie. And the idea that this is climate change and global warming, that when it is not. Now, soon we're going to cover another topic as well, Steve, but I think I really want this to get out now while people can understand what they face and work on the workarounds to survive these lies as best possible. We can't go down like this. The human family just cannot go down in such ignorance. And our children are learning in school because we're sending our kids to school for babysitting purposes. They're learning that climate change and global warming is real and that it's our fault. They're angry with the older generations because they're accusing us of destroying the planet that they will no longer be able to live on. So again, we covered the American Bar Association and how they adopted the American Bar and what that means to all of us. I also have information on the Harvard Law School, which created water trusts to steal our water. Harvard's involved as well. We'll cover that in more detail on our next broadcast, Steve. It's horrific. And all of us must at least learn the truth. So again, the oil companies are sued over heat wave death. So we can see the lawsuits flying, so that we are then completely converted to all of this green scam, all of the electric vehicles that are ruthlessly involved with slave labor to get the lithium from other countries and shipped over here. Shame on everyone that is driving anything related to lithium-ion batteries. If you think you're saving the planet, you're destroying it. You're part of it.
Yeah. All they have to do, Deborah, is look at that video we did about that and showing what the pollution and it's horrible what they're putting these people through over in the Far East there. Very horrible.
Yes, I have a video of that posted on stopthecrime.net. You can scroll back. I posted it a couple of months ago, so you can see firsthand what all of you are doing out of being mind controlled over circumstances that are not real. That is what we face, Steve. Massive mind control. And we can tell the success of mind control when we watch all of these electric vehicles and other types of equipment that have lithium-ion batteries, and including what we have for solar battery backup. They're all lithium-ion batteries. And in the state of California, in January of this year, all gardening equipment. We're talking about saws, we're talking about power tools, we're talking about lawnmowers, you name it. All lithium-ion battery operated now, all of it. They're eliminating the use of what they call fossil fuel. And our fuel never came from dead dinosaurs. So we also posted there, Steve, Colonel Fletcher Prouty, who was talking about this for years.
How about we close with playing a couple of minutes of where he talks about that very issue?
Excellent, Steve. And for all of you listening, please leave comments. Please send this far and wide. We need your help to set the record Right.
Yes,
To write history as it is and not as it is being falsely created.
absolutely. And don't forget, follow Deborah on stopthecrime.net, and
Primary water.
primary water. I keep wanting to say free water, primarywater.org,
Well, walk
toxicskies.org as well. So,
Yes, thank you, everyone.
and
Thank you, Steve.
here we go. Thank you, Deborah. Listening to what Colonel Fletcher Prouty says here.
Fossil fuel, that it didn't come from fossil animal.
Yeah.
Is it just a mineral? Is it a mineral like any other mineral? Is that how it? What would you say? How did it? What's the origin of?
You see,
petroleum?
when they first found petroleum, because they were beginning to make motors and needed on axles of wheels on railroad trains and all that sort of thing, and remember, trains started in the beginning of the 19th century, then oil went from just a lubricant to a fuel, and it made it valuable. And Rockefeller happened to be the smartest man in the business at the time, but he made most of his money, or much of it, off the transport of the petroleum as well as selling it. But one thing they realized was, because oil is putting a price on oil is like putting a price on a pail of water. You know, no initial cost. It's in the ground, and in those days they were, some of it almost what you'd call surface mining the oil. They didn't go down deep. So in order to get the price up, they hit on the idea that they would have to make it appear to be scarce. That after we take the next few barrels out, we're probably going to have to close as well. You know, that kind of thing. Well, a very fortuitous event. In 1892, there was a convention in Geneva of scientists to determine what organic substances are. Well, the definition of organic is a substance with hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. And so it's usually a living substance, a tree. You analyze a dead tree, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, and grass and so on, living things. Animals, we are hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. So at this Geneva Convention, Rockefeller took advantage of sending some scientists over who said, oil, petroleum, is hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Therefore, it must be derived from the spoiling, the rotting of formerly living matter. And playing the game properly, when this scientific convention was over, they defined oil as the residue from formerly living matter. Well, that makes it a fossil fuel. I don't know why they decided to use the word fossil, but it says formerly living matter is fossil. Well, of course, today, and another thing we should know is that there has never been a fossil, a real fossil, found below 16,000 feet. And you can't argue at 16,000 as a level line because someplace the ground sinks and so on. But 16 is what the scientists say, 16,000. We mine oil, or we drill for oil at 30,000, 33,000, 28,000 every day of the week. So right there, we rule it out that it isn't fossil fuel. It's called fossil fuel for the minds of the public to feel that it is an asset that is running out, being depleted. We talk about depletion allowance, which is a lot of, and actually, if you know the world's oil supply,
and Deborah,
you know.
I think we can actually just put the link for them now, because I think that gives them exactly what people need to see. It's a hoax. If you can see fossils have never been found below 1,600 feet,
Yeah,
and
16,000.
16,000 feet, and they're drilling for oil at 28,000 feet, that's pretty evident.
Well, I also have documents from Russia. Russia knows that petroleum does not come from dead dinosaurs. They know. They've always known. I have that information. We'll cover that in the next news blast. But I think for now, people need to pull their children out of school immediately. Stop sending them there to learn lies and live in an illusion of a world that is not real. while we are being attacked by silent weapons and wars upon wars upon wars. We have to stop where we can, one family at a time, one child at a time, because we are being slaughtered. And all the industrialized countries now are being genocided off the map, as well as the third world countries as well. Wars upon wars upon wars. So, Steve, I want to thank you. I certainly hope that people will send this far and wide. Teach your children and understand yourselves the level of disinformation that you have been mind controlled into believing is real. So, Steve, thank you so much for contributing to getting this information out.
You are very welcome. Always my pleasure, Deborah. And I would love to say it's exciting, but it's not. It's very heartbreaking to have to constantly inform people of the falsifications that they've been given all these years.
Yes, and I'll look forward to doing another show with you to talk about all of the agencies that were set up by the bankers to privatize the water supply in the United States, from agencies that most people cannot believe were set up to destroy the United States of America and, again, all the other industrialized nations on the world and everyone else. And then we'll talk about not only all of the agencies, but all of the water companies that were also set up. Now, not everybody that works for water companies know the prior setup, but everything is scripted in advance of the programs rolling out. And if I can leave everyone with the understanding that this is all pre-scripted, we have the evidence, we have the patents, we have the process, the executive orders. This is all real. This is how life and our reality really is. And we have to teach, again, our children one at a time the truth, and we have to understand the truth. So again, this is Deborah Tavares with StopTheCrime.net, primarywater.org, and toxicsky.org. Please go to StopTheCrime.net and click on videos to stay current with all the videos that we post. And I think they can find us on your site as well, Steve.
Yes, on Israeli News Live YouTube under Deborah Tavares playlist, you will find all the videos there that we've done with Deborah. Thank you guys for listening, and we will be in touch again with you guys soon.